couple of days ago, the newly elected president of Gabon performed what looked like a witchcraft type ritual on stage at his inauguration. I don't think I can think of a single time when I've seen any images like this from any African president in my life. While you and I and the world and other nations watch, but in this video, I think there's a few important things we need to highlight about this ritual that he did on stage. You may or may not agree with it, but one thing you will do if you watch the video is have a new perspective that you may not consider. If you're interested in that, stay tuned. So for those of you that don't know, my name is TJ, and on this channel, I talk about African geopolitics. I'm Nigerian and British mixed. I grew up mostly in the UK, but as of right now, I live in Uganda, and I'm here to see the betterment of Africa as a continent. Now, regarding this subject matter, I have to put the following caveats in right here. I know that there are many Christians, many Muslims, people of different beliefs and denominations that visit my channel and support what I do. I want to state right now that I don't happen to hold any religious belief around anything that I'm going to mention in this video. I believe everybody should be able to worship who they want, believe in what they want, and be free to do so in the manner they want. Whoever or whatever you believe out there, I may not personally support your religion, but I am glad if you're happy supporting it for yourself. Now, I came across this ritual witchcraft scenario because of Zach Mukasa. Big up to his channel. I watch a lot of his videos and I like everything that he does. Let's take a look at some of the ceremony and what was performed.
During the inauguration ceremony of the new president of Gabon, Brice Oligui Nguema, that was held at Anganje Stadium on May 3, 2025, there were several rituals that were conducted, but the most weird and interesting one that shocked African presidents and foreign dignitaries in attendance was this traditional one, in which the spirits, ancestors and genies of Gabon were summoned to protect and guide the new president, who will be assuming a 7-year term. The ceremony was a symbolic presentation of the attributes of traditional power to the new president, and it involved the use of traditional paraphernalia like a leopard skin, an eternal flame, purifying water, special traditional anointing oil, a spear and burning incense to summon and appease the spirits, as well as to purify and cleanse the presidency. Conducting the ceremony was a relatively middle-aged man, probably in his early 50s or late 40s, who was dressed in white from head to toe, with a white traditional Igbada attire that had an image of a running leopard printed on the back, and an up-close image of a leopard's face printed on the front. Upon the man being given the chance to conduct the ceremony, he requested the president's throne to be moved close to the altar from where he could conduct the ritual, and then called on the stage what appeared like a traditional spiritual leader who was carrying a leopard skin, and who had been flanked by 2 traditional warriors. The spiritual leader, who had himself wrapped around his waist a leopard skin, laid down the leopard skin that he was carrying at the feet of the president, right in front of his red throne on which he would sit, and in this case, the leopard skin had 2 functions. First, it represented royalty and acted as a symbol of leadership and power, and second, it was being used to represent the balance between the physical and spiritual realms, since the leopard is seen in Central African cultures as a bridge between the human world and the world of spirits, where people believe that invoking the leopard spirit helps with healing and protection rituals. The leopard's strength, agility and ability to move between worlds make it a powerful spiritual guide, and thus, African spiritual leaders and diviners have for centuries been using leopard skins, bones, or other parts in their rituals to connect with ancestral spirits or gain insight into future events. Ladies and gentlemen, people of Gabon, I would like you to rise and give an acclamation to God and our ancestors who have given us this happy day. On this day dreamed of by our ancestors, please stand and applaud for God.
So the question I think maybe we're asking is, what God are we talking about here, right? And I went down and looked at the comments and I found some interesting comments. The power of witchcraft is real. Witchcraft isn't just spells and potions, it's energy. And then here's a comment: Jesus will be the center of that throne. I'm totally disappointed I think he means to say, if he delivers for the Gabonese, God will favor him, but not because of that nonsense they are doing. So the first observation I'd like to make is that this thing is already being called witchcraft. Indeed, I called it witchcraft at the beginning of this video because that is what people will resonate and understand it to be. But I have a question. Is this not the religion of these people's ancestors, their history, their roots, the religions, the belief systems that were there before Christianity or any other religion from outside came into Africa. Christianity is 2,000 years old. Of course, it has a history back to a creation story, but every tribe in Africa has a history back to its creation story and a spiritual understanding of that landscape. Now, like I said, I'm not here to support this thing, but I think it's important to recognize that this should not be seen as something that is taboo. He's not doing this in London. He's not doing this in the United States. He's doing this in the land of his ancestors, regardless of whether I think he is the right president for that country. You know, I wonder, where is the place for proper respect for the history of your people in the modern day? It is a difficult road to walk because the modern and the old don't necessarily connect together very well. We have new belief systems with modernization, and much of the diplomatic relations we have are with modern countries, modern people that do not respect, understand, like, or want to know anything about this type of ritual or this type of belief system. But I want to know, from your perspective, do you see any difference between this ritual and something like this?
Ivi soli peccavi et malum coram te feci, ut justificeris in ceremoniibus tui, et vincas cum judicari. Ecce in iniquitatibus conceptus sum.
Now, personally, if you're freaked out by the Gabonese president's ritual, I think this kind of does a similar thing in equal measure, just in another culture. This is a European ritual, right? Look at what they're wearing. There's gold everywhere. There's these funny black hoods. There's incense. What spirits and stuff are they invoking here? Do you even understand what all of this symbolism means? I certainly don't. As someone that doesn't engage in this type of religion, it doesn't make me feel the most comfortable when I see it. And again, this is all respect to the Catholic Church, and I know you guys have just had a new punt. I want everybody to practice the religion they think they need to practice. Another interesting example of where the old meets the new in politics and the modern world is the following. I don't know about you, but I personally feel chills when I see that. The thing that these people have in common with African people is that they've had their traditions usurped by a foreign tradition. And so that we've already got the mindset that what they're doing is primitive, it's backward, it's not Christian, holy. In fact, it's witchcraft. It's something to be feared. It's something to be seen as evil. Because of course, a lot of religions like Christianity are monotheistic. So anything that challenges that is by definition evil. It's of the devil. But these guys here in New Zealand are just practicing what their fathers and their forefathers practiced. Some of these people have tattoos on their face. These are traditional tattoos. My grandmother in Nigeria, she had tattoos on her face. And I wonder if people from the West feel the same way when they see these Maori people doing their haka. But I think if we look at it objectively, of course, there's going to be things we like and dislike about someone's culture, but they are more or less all the same thing. A spiritual belief linked to their ancestry, linked to the origin story of their people. And I believe these things should be respected. I believe these things do have a place, even if they're ceremonial in the modern world. This is an article I found about a story that I've known about for a while. It's something that really makes me think about modern ways versus old ways and how those worlds collide. Among the 35,000 people who participated in Theodore Roosevelt's inaugural parade on March the 4th, 1905, were 6 men on horseback wearing elaborate headdress. Each was an Indian chief, and each had, one time or another, been at odds with the American government. They were Quaha Parker of the Comanche, Buckskin Charlie of the Ute, Hollow Worn Bear and the American Horse of the Sioux, Little Plume from the Blackfeet, and the Apache warrior Geronimo. Here are some pictures of who they are at the time. And the sad thing is that these guys' cultures have been totally decimated. Their cultures were perfectly valid, had their own spiritual understanding, their own spiritual belief, had their own history, and they had something to contribute to the world. Their story is a valid part of the American story, but it no longer has significant feature in the political system of the modern ways that America is run. And I don't know about you, but I feel sad about that for those people. I also think this is a contextual issue because at the same time, when Hollywood promotes the Black Panther movie and we see African type rituals and imagery in that movie, nobody thinks twice. In that domain, it's respected, it's loved, it's even desirable. So tell me, what's the difference here? On a personal side, I have Christians, Muslims, and those that believe in the old ways all in my family. My family is totally mixed and everyone has diverse beliefs. My grandfather in Nigeria was a practicing spiritual doctor, and some of my family still take on that role today. The Christians in my family don't agree with it. They say it's evil and dark and negative. But what they all talk about are powers and things that I cannot actually explain. Things that do not make sense to me. Ways of communicating through spiritual methods, combat in spiritual warfare, methods which are not yet fully explored or legitimized or understood by the West. These are things that, again, do not jive with modern convention. They are completely different belief system and understanding, and one might say a different scientific understanding. And what I want to highlight by saying all of this is that when you look deeper, that is not a million miles away from things that are happening in the modern West. Check this out. The US Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, conducted research programs on remote viewing from 1972, with some programs declassified between 1995 and 2003. The main objective was to investigate the potential of psychic abilities for intelligence gathering, specifically focusing on the cognitive mechanisms of underlying remote viewing. Now, you may have seen Joe Rogan episodes, you may have seen various people online talking about these types of understandings, where people can see things and communicate. I don't know if it's true. It's very similar to the types of understandings that we see coming from the African ancestors and the African ancient ways of living. Think, for example, the knowledge that was lost from Egypt. They still have things there that are built that we can't build now. What else did they know? What did they believe? It definitely doesn't marry with a lot of modern religions. Now, I know what I'm about to show you is not African, but it's something that I definitely resonate with. And I thank you, regardless of whatever religion you are out there, that you gave me the opportunity to tell you my point of view, particularly if you have strong beliefs from your side. So in today's video, I'm going to close with this, and I hope it speaks to you as well. Let me be a free man, free to travel, free to stock, free to work, free to trade where I choose, free to choose my own teachers, free to follow the religion of my fathers, free to talk, think, and act for myself, and I will obey every law or submit to the penalty. Chief Joseph. Thank you so much for watching today. Peace.
Thank you.